I'm from Los Angeles, and I first got into music not at all through classical music, but through improvisation and blues, jazz, and rock. Um, and I actually think I was really fortunate that I had teachers that didn't mind me doing things by ear, didn't mind me improvising, maybe not being so good at sight reading, because it made music fun for me. And eventually, later on, I started having teachers getting into high school where I studied classical composition. And then I went into my undergrad at UCLA where I studied music composition and psychology, and then grad school at Princeton, um, also in composition. And then at that point, I spent 1 year living in Rome, and then I moved back to Los Angeles, where I've been until very recently, and I was teaching mostly at USC there. And now I'm really excited to be at Lamont. In many ways, it's as exciting for me as a new faculty member as it is for the students who might be deciding to come here as a freshman or a transfer or first-year masters. I think what I'm looking for when students apply is not any kind of style at all. I'm really just looking for does this person have a voice or the potential for a voice? Do they seem like they have something to say, regardless of what genre they're working in? So, in the best way, I don't care if you're an improviser or you do electroacoustic music or you only want to write orchestra music and chamber music. I'd like to curate a program where there's all of that happening. I think it leads generally to the healthiest environment where you're not only learning from your faculty, but you're also learning from your colleagues. And it also better reflects what the real world is like when you get out there. I wouldn't want to have a program that churns out the same kind of composer over and over again. I would much rather that you all find your voice and the thing that you want to do best, and that our goal as faculty is really just to help you do that, to help you develop the right tools, show you the right music, give you the right opportunities so that you can cut as clear a path through this program and as you can, and develop into the kind of artist you want to be. So for all composers, undergrads, and grads, you're going to have lessons every week, so a 1 hour lesson every week. There's composition seminar, which also meets once a week, and that is kind of a grab bag for a lot of different things. So some of it is where guest speakers will come in and talk to you. Some of it is it's kind of an analysis or discussion class. And then some of it is preparing for the quarterly Lamont Composers Concert Series, where students put on works of theirs for performance. Beyond that, there are a lot of courses that's in the elective fields, especially for students who are past their first 2 years, which you have quite a lot of unit space for. And so those electives are mostly going to come in the form of musicology classes, music theory courses, composition courses, or electronic music, music production, that sort of thing. And so the goal with that is that these are courses where you can really start to make an individual path for yourself through the program. So if you only want to write acoustic chamber music, then you can take as many courses as possible that will help you do that, whether it's counterpoint and orchestration. But if you say well, I like doing that, but I also would like to, get into film music a little bit, or learn some more about music production, or get a little bit more into being a composer-performer, then you can take a different path through those elective courses. And so those are a pretty big part of the program, especially for the undergrads after you've gotten through some of the more core curriculum. Another important part of the program is the ensemble requirement. And one thing that I think is really cool about Lamont is that they're very flexible with what kinds of ensembles you can take as a composer, which is not true at a lot of schools. A lot of schools, you're pretty much in chorus. Unless you're really good at an instrument, then you might be able to be in orchestra. And that's, those are great experiences. I would recommend that most people spend some time in chorus. But it's not right for every composer. And there are so many cool ensembles at Lamont. One's a lot of world music ensembles, like Indian classical, or bluegrass ensemble, or jazz ensembles, never mind orchestra and wind ensemble, kind of classics that you'd expect at a school of music. And you can really mix and match however you want. If you want to spend a bunch of time in one of those because it just speaks to you, that's great. If you want to try switching every quarter, you can do that too. A few of them have auditions, as you might expect, like the orchestra, but a lot of them don't. And so it's a great opportunity for you to try something new. And maybe you'll love it, and maybe you won't, and then you can move on. So I feel really good about that ensemble requirement for the composers, that you can get a breadth of experience, but never feel like you're stuck doing something that you don't want to do. So there are quite a few opportunities to get your work performed. One of them, and probably the most DIY of all the opportunities, is the Lamont Composers Concert Series, which is a quarterly concert that generally every composer, almost every composer in the program, participates in each quarter. And so these are performances that you put on mostly yourself, but sometimes with help of a faculty member, generally with other students at Lamont. So it could be other composers, often it's people in the performance major. And with that, you can really put on whatever you want. So it's a great kind of incubator and test ground for you to try out new ideas. Beyond that, we are also going to have visiting ensembles coming through, whether it's a formed ensemble or just a professional solo musician, people who will come through for reading sessions, recording sessions, that sort of thing. And my goal with that is that every student in the program could participate in something like that at least once a year, which is a really different kind of experience than working with your colleagues. And I think a good comp program ideally has both, that you're getting to work with professionals, people who are a bit beyond you in, just in where you are in your career, but also that, of course, you're at a school of music and you got to make friends with your peers, because those are going to be the next awesome professionals in a few years. And then there's also the Modern Hue Ensemble, which is a contemporary music ensemble run by one of our performance faculty. And composers can participate in that both as performers and as composers. So it's pretty common for that ensemble to play through student pieces. And so between that, you have a wide variety of opportunities. So you can have multiple pieces played per quarter if you really had your heart set on it. But you don't have to do that every quarter. One of the things that struck me about Lamont is it seems like it's a really good size, like maybe the perfect size for a school of music. It's got about 300 students. Our comp program has about 12 students, give or take a few in any given year. And those numbers are enough that pretty much anything you want to do in a school of music can happen. You can be in the orchestra, or in the wind ensemble, or in one of several choirs, or the steel band ensemble, or the bluegrass ensemble, or the Indian classical music ensemble, which is really cool. And those are the kinds of opportunities that you just won't get in a smaller school. But on the other hand, it's not one of these mega schools of music that has 1,000+ students, which have a lot of cool aspects of them, but sometimes students can feel like they get a little bit lost in the shuffle, or it's hard to get enough face time with their faculty. And so I think 300 works really well. I can say another thing about Lamont that really got me excited was when I was just looking at who the faculty are, I thought, wow, Lamont's making some really cool, interesting choices in faculty, not necessarily just getting someone who is a great orchestra player, not that they aren't, but people who are doing cool stuff in contemporary music or doing really cutting-edge research. It's suggested to me that somebody's really thinking carefully about cutting an interesting profile for this school that stands apart from a lot of other good music programs. Another one would be the balance between maybe I'd say a more traditional or musical education, kind of based on making sure that you have strong foundations, techniques, chops, whatever you want to call it, but also being flexible and innovative. And I think a lot of schools are trying in different ways to figure out how they want to balance that right now. And it can be easy to just stick with kind of the old curriculum, which can result in students not really knowing what the world is like now and not having all the tools they need. But it also can be easy to throw out too many tools so that students maybe just don't have the skills they need to actually realize their ideas as well as they possibly can. So I think Lamont strikes a good balance in which enough of the curriculum is devoted to making sure you can do what you do at the highest possible level, but it also allows enough flexibility that you will really be able to become the kind of artist you want.